All right, and hello, World Civilizations 1. So, if you are viewing this video, you should be in my World Civilizations 1 class, which is slated to start on September the 16th. If this is not the right class you are looking for, you are in the wrong place, and please let me or someone in admissions or the registrar's office know as soon as possible. In the meantime, if you're in the right place, you should be viewing this video sometime between September the 16th and September the 18th. This is the only video you have to view for this week since our class is starting on a Wednesday. Don't really want to throw too much on you in just a couple of days. Now, first thing I'm going to do, naturally, is I do want to introduce myself. My name is Zachary Morgan. I am from Andrews, North Carolina, which is located in Cherokee County, North Carolina. For those of you who haven't heard of us, we are actually the westernmost tip of the county in the entire state. My house is actually just about 45 minutes or so at most from Georgia and the Tennessee line. So again, very most western edge of the state. Just a little bit about myself. My education, I got my bachelor's in history and social sciences at Western Carolina University. I got my master's in American history also at Western Carolina University. Just to get a little bit more personal about what I researched while I was there, I wrote a thesis on the sustainability of traditional Theravada Buddhism by studying two North Carolina temples in our state. So again, that just goes to show for any of you who are planning to get a master's someday, trust me, your interests and your research can get very specific. So just keep that in mind if any of you try to pursue a higher education, which if you have a plan for it, I do highly recommend. A little bit more about my interests. My favorite movie, which you can see a screenshot of here, is actually The Lighthouse. It came out in 2019, just last year, and was directed by the same guy who directed The Witch, if you saw that movie. This is a very fantastic psychological horror / thriller. Love it. If you like that kind of movie, I do recommend it. However, since this is, of course, still a community college setting, I will stress that if you're not into anything too violent or potentially inappropriate, do not check out this movie. So I will not recommend it for everyone necessarily, but if it does sound like your cup of tea, I do recommend it. Honorable mentions, I'm also a big fan of the movies Empire Strikes Back and just Star Wars in general, and I'm also a very big fan of the movie Mad Max Fury Road, just to give you an idea of how stereotypical my interests are. My favorite book, as you can see over here, is Stephen King's The Stand. I'm also a big fan of pretty much every book he's ever written. My favorite TV show is Avatar: The Last Airbender. My favorite band is Iron Maiden, with probably my favorite song being The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Any of my heavy metal fans in here will hopefully appreciate that. And just to give you a bit of a more interesting fact about me, I'm actually a triplet. People always seem to be impressed by that for whatever reason, but I am not an identical triplet, so it's not quite as interesting as maybe you assumed. And as far as I know, we cannot read each other's minds or sense when each other is in pain. We've tried, it hasn't worked out so far. Now, your introductions is also something you're obviously going to be required to do as well. I'm going to give you a discussion forum for your first upcoming week. It's one of the only things you're going to have to do this week. In this discussion forum, I want you to, of course, share with me your name. That's pretty standard. I also want to know what your hometown is or where you've lived the longest at the very least. I'd like to know a bit more about your educational history, what your career and educational goals are for the future, or at least what you figured out yet, what your favorite movie, book, and or TV show is, why you believe learning history is important, and kind of like my triplet fact, something that makes you memorable. Now, just to give you a bit of a heads up for this learning history thing, try to get a little bit more in detail than just saying we learn history so we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. One, a lot of historians consider that to be a bit of a terrible advice actually, because no two situations are exactly the same. But also, as you're going to see in this class, I grade you the most heavily on your specific details and evidence. What exactly do you mean by learning lessons? What kind of lessons do we learn? How do we learn them? And if you want to focus on not repeating the mistakes of the past, how exactly do you accomplish that? Give me a little bit more than just a generic answer is mainly what I'm asking. So, what we're going to do for the rest of this recording is pretty simple and straightforward. All I really want you to do is just give you a basic outline of what our class is going to look like for the rest of the semester. Now, I would pull this up for you to see right now, but unfortunately I can't use my recording for more than one apps. So what I'm going to do is just try to describe to you what your Microsoft Teams meeting is going to look like. Now, you won't have to join meetings on Microsoft Teams very often. As I'll explain more detail later, it's only going to be used for debates for the most part. However, I would love it if you actually participated in the debates live, so I do want to make sure you know what to expect. Some of the things you're going to see are the Participants tab, which really doesn't affect you very much. It just shows you who all is in the meeting. You'll see the conversation/meeting chat. This can actually be a very useful tool. And this isn't what it will look like if you're actually in an online meeting, but just to give you a bit of an idea of what it looks like. You'll see a chat icon that looks something like this. If you click on it, you can send messages to me. You can send messages to everyone else in the class. It's essentially just a great way to get my attention without trying to talk over people. It's essentially just like a group message like you would see on Facebook, Instagram if they do group messages on Instagram. Really just whatever apps you young people are using these days. I'm essentially an old man before my time. Also, you have a very useful function called the raise your hand function. Literally all you have to do is just click on the hand that'll show up on your screen. It'll flash that you're raising your hand. This is another great way to get my attention without potentially interrupting somebody. And actually, one thing I would request when we actually do Microsoft Teams meetings is actually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. I apologize. Yeah, one thing I will specifically request is do use this hand or the meeting chat to get my attention. Don't try to interrupt me or anyone else in the class. That's not very polite, as much as an old person as I sound like when I say that. And I want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to speak and doesn't get interrupted. Now, what I was getting ahead to is the camera and microphone option. This is very simple. If you've used Zoom or any other meeting option, you have seen the camera and microphone buttons. Microsoft Teams, it's exactly the same. You use these just to turn on your video and to turn it off, turn on your audio and turn it off. Very simple. What I would like to ask you to do is when you're in a meeting with the class, if you're not actively speaking, go ahead and keep your microphone off. That makes it so where we're not going to be easily distracted when people are trying to speak. Because I understand we're all, of course, doing school at home right now. We're all going to have crazy distractions. Who knows what might be going on with our households and our neighbors. So this just makes sure that background noise doesn't distract anybody. This won't be very relevant for much of our meetings, but if you want to share content, it might be. There's, of course, a share content button where you share what is on your screen with everyone else in the meeting. This will, of course, like I said, only be relevant sometimes when we do debates. Also, you have a More Actions button, which just gives you a couple of options you might want to use. For example, you can change your background. So instead of just having a generic, people actually seeing where you're filming from, you can just post a background. For example, when you see my background is some fancy-looking history professor library. I am okay with pretty much any background you would pick, as long as it is school appropriate. So of course, no violence, nothing profanity, no vulgarity, nothing inappropriate or anything like that. As long as you follow those rules, you can use pretty much any background you want. I'm willing to be pretty flexible on that. Also, you can take notes for the meeting. This can be very useful if you want to take notes to what's going on Teams so you don't forget. Make sure you take advantage of that as well. Now, this one I can give you more of a direct representation of. This is going to be what you'll see when you pull up the Microsoft Teams course itself. There are a few major things you're going to see. First, there is a Posts tab. So, and just to show you what it looks like, this is the icon you will see when you pull up your World Civilizations Teams class. These are my other two classes I'm also teaching at Hickory. You will not see those. You should just see World Civilizations 1, Section 3, Asynchronous. You'll pull it up, and you should see these various tabs right here. You'll see Posts, which is where I can post announcements and other things you need to be aware of. I'm not going to use this section a whole lot because that is what I use Blackboard for and what I use email for. However, you can post things to share amongst yourselves, and you're more than welcome to start conversations amongst yourselves or try to get my attention. But otherwise, I will really only use this post section to start the meetings we're going to use for our debates. Also, there's a Files section. This is where, if the need arises, I can post PowerPoints, videos, other readings you might need for the class. However, I'm also not going to use this section very much because all of your major prompts, rubrics, and readings are going to be posted directly to Blackboard. So again, really, we're mainly using Microsoft Teams for the online meeting function. All of the class stuff is going to go on Blackboard. However, I do want you to be aware that you can use the class notebook to share notes with each other. You'll see right here you have the class notebook. If my internet pulls it up. Which again, let this be a reminder, by the way, that I am willing to be flexible with internet issues. If my internet has issues, I can't really judge you for your internet issues. Here it goes, finally. Alright, so I haven't set it up yet. I will have that set up by class on Wednesday, however. But all you have to do is start here. You can set up a notebook. The cool thing about the notebook is you should have a few sections in your notebook. One of the sections allows you to keep notes just for yourself. The other section allows you to post notes that the entire class can see. So it's essentially a great way for us to share notes with each other, even though we're all taking class at different places. So I just want you to be aware that that's there. Again, I already showed you this a little bit, but you have the chat section. This is where if we're not actually in a meeting, let me move this out of the way. My face always gets in the way on these. You just click on the chat button. You can start a chat right here. Send a chat to anybody you want, me, classmates, whoever it needs to be. So again, I just want you to be aware that that's there. As I'll say in a second, I prefer for you to get in touch with me with my email, but this chat is an option. This chat group is an option as well. Also, just keep in mind, again, there's a lot of things on Microsoft Teams we're not really going to need. I'm not going to use the assignments or the grades section either. All of our grading is going to be on Blackboard, so you don't need to worry about those sections on Teams either. Second, let's go over our Blackboard course outline. Please especially pay attention to this. This will answer a lot of the questions you're probably going to want to ask me during the first week or so. When you pull a Blackboard, you're going to see a few major sections. So first off, let me show you our Blackboard class. So yeah, again, you should, if you're here, you should be signed up for my 111 821 class. Here we go. So the announcements section contains a few things you're going to need to be aware of for our class. It contains a lot of updates, reminders, and due dates. For example, here I have the information that you will need to join our Microsoft Teams class. By the time you're viewing this video, you should have access to Blackboard, so you should be able to join our Microsoft Teams meeting very quickly. I think I just had a little bit of an internet buffering. Hopefully you're all still with me. Yeah, all you got to do is follow this link right here, and it should take you directly to our Microsoft Teams class right here. If you have trouble joining, please let me know. I should be able to add you manually. You also here have access or information on how to access my office hours. I'll be online for my office hours every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m., as well as being online from 4 to 5 p.m. on Wednesdays. I will be using Zoom for the time being to get into my office hours, because that way it's much easier for me to get people in and not have to set up multiple appointments. For my Zoom, I have a established class meeting room. This meeting information will always be the same. It's always the same link and the same passcode if you need it to join. To join my Zoom meeting, just follow this link right here. It should take you right into my office hours. Next, we have the Getting Started section. This has a bunch of things that will help you get started in the class and help you throughout the entire course. It has the master course syllabus from the college, my personal syllabus, as well as a Chicago and MLA style citation guide, a history paper writing guide, and your general links to writing services and tutoring help, accommodation services, and various other helpful links, such as IT help, for example. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, you'll just go to course content right here. All right, my apologies, getting started. I'm getting ahead of myself again. So yeah, here's my syllabus. Here's the citation guides, which, by the way, before you ask, because I know this will be a question some of you will probably have, you are welcome to use either Chicago or MLA style citations. I'll send you another reminder for this, but these are two of the citation guides you are allowed to use. This is a history paper writing guide, which just gives you more of an idea of how I grade history papers and what I'm looking for when I do grade them. And like I mentioned, here are some of the helpful links you might need. Here's some, for example, here's some instructional videos, a link to the help desk, a link to tutoring and the writing center, disability and accommodations help, financial aid, veterans affairs, and various other links you might need. Please take advantage of these, and if you have any questions about them, please do let me know. Finally, I'm getting ahead of myself again. I'm in a hurry for some reason. I guess it's because I'm recording this at 7:30 on a Saturday. But anyway, assignments. This is where the prompts, rubrics, and submission areas for all of your major writing assignments and debates are going to be. Any assignment listed in this section will be submitted there. So, just to give you an idea of what to expect when you go there, you will go to assignments, of course. And here you can look at this. So, for example, your syllabus contract, which I'll show you a bit about in a second, is coming up on September the 21st at 5 p.m. That'll be your first assignment. You'll turn in your information for your first office hours meeting right here. And below that, you can see all of your rubrics and prompts for your major assignments. Your 3 major writing assignments, the prompts and the rubrics are all located right here. You will also submit the assignments here as well. Your debate information is here as well. And finally, you have the final essay folder. Now, please do keep in mind, in this section, you will see the prompt for the assignment, the benchmark assignments for the final essay, which I'll go more in detail about in a second, the rubric, and the final essay submission area. Everything involving your final essay can be found in this folder. Please take advantage of it. Finally, you will have your course content section of the Blackboard course. This is where I'm going to post the lectures, readings, and weekly assignments for every week. For example, your content quizzes that you'll have throughout the semester, they'll all be posted in the course content section. Let me go ahead and show you what that's going to look like. Now, since when I'm recording this, class hasn't started yet, there's nothing posted in these folders yet. But as you can see, there's a folder for every single week in this course. Like I said, this is where every single content quiz, lecture, and lecture recording in PowerPoint is going to go. You'll find all of those here. Also, every discussion forum and creative response assignment you're going to have throughout the semester will be posted here as well. So major assignments are here. Smaller assignments and content quizzes will be in the course content section. If you get confused about that at any point, please let me know as soon as possible. Syllabus review, very quickly. The class times are, of course, online. We'll only schedule things for debates. This is my email address. This is how I would prefer for you to get in contact with me. Again, my office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3 to 5, and Wednesdays from 4 to 5. Also be aware, I am more than willing to have office hours by appointment. Just shoot me an email. I'm more than willing to set up an appointment just to have a one-on-one conversation. Master Course Syllabus is right here as well. This gets a little bit more into detail about the college-wide requirements for this class and just for your overall attendance. And finally, here is the information for the textbook you're looking for. Just to help narrow things down for you a little bit, you're going to want Volume 1, by the way. If you don't already have the textbook or you haven't gone through the bookstore yet, make sure you look at Volume 1. That's the one you're going to need. Now, major policies, just to go over these really quickly. Late work will only be accepted on the major writing assignments. You'll have 4 days to submit them, with 1 letter grade lost for each day it's late. All other major assignments are due on their 5 p.m. due date. Now, however, to be clear, I am willing to have some wiggle room there. As you'll notice on some of your major writing assignments, for example, if I can get it to pull up. All right, here we go. All right, apparently it doesn't show it here. My apologies. Like I said, we're all in the online class boat at this point. All right, I think it'll show it to you if I do this. All right, see, here we go. As you can see, this assignment is on display until 4 days after the due date. However, it doesn't entirely disappear, the debate is displayed until 11:59 p.m. of the day it's due. That means you essentially have about a 7-hour window before the assignment disappears from Blackboard. If you can get it to me within that time and you have an extenuating circumstance or a valid reason, I might be willing to accept it without any penalties. So again, like I said, they will disappear from the court at midnight. I will accept them on special circumstances. However, I am able to reopen an assignment for you. If there's a legitimate excuse, I am willing to give you an exception or an extension, and I won't penalize you for late work. Like I said, since we're all on this online situation, I am willing to be flexible. If there are legitimate reasons, please let me know as soon as you can. We can potentially work something out. Academic dishonesty is something I'll be very strict on, not acceptable under any circumstance whatsoever. First offense fails the assignment, second fails the whole class. Please keep that in mind. Communication, like I said, I'd prefer for you to email me. My response policies are as follows. For a weekday email, I will respond within 24 hours. If it's after 5 p.m., I will respond within 24 hours the following morning. If you email me after 5 p.m. on Friday between then and Sunday, I'll respond within 24 hours on the following Monday. However, just to be clear, this doesn't mean that you aren't allowed to email me over those times, and I might even email you back depending on if I'm working or checking my email that day. All I'm asking is that you don't get upset if I don't give you a quick response during these time periods I mentioned right here. Because those are my time periods where I try to have my own little Mr. Morgan time, and I'm not necessarily going to be checking my email very frequently. So please just keep that in mind. Now, attendance is pretty simple. If you're absent for more than 2 weeks, which means in this online class that you have not communicated with me at all or turned in any assignments, you will be withdrawn from the course. You can receive a grade of WP that shouldn't affect your GPA if you withdraw before 60% of the course is completed. This isn't very relevant for us for the most part since we won't really meet that often, but 3 tardies will count as an absence under normal circumstances. So, also want to go over the course schedule a little bit. Our course schedule is split up into 3 units. Each week in our syllabus is going to list the topic of that week, the readings due that week, and the assignments for that week. Keep in mind, please, that the schedule is subject to change. Try to be understanding if there's an scheduling issue or if something goes wrong, but just to hopefully calm you a little bit, I will not make any assignments due any earlier than I have posted on the syllabus right now. The only thing I will do is make them due later and give you more time. So I'm not going to post anything earlier just because there's a scheduling issue. That will be the burden to deal with. I won't put that on you. So, next up, major assignments. This is going to be mainly the last thing we'll talk about today. Please, again, let me know if you have any questions about any of this. Your first writing assignment is roughly 500 words. Your second will be about 1,500 words. And your midterm will be about 2,500 words. All of these writing assignments require a works cited page and in-text citations. Again, you can use Chicago or MLA style. Doesn't really matter which. Again, one reason I've made these writing assignments fairly extensive is that their prompts and rubrics can be found on Blackboard as we speak. The Blackboard course isn't even activated yet when I'm filming this, but the prompts and rubrics are already there. So immediately once you access the Blackboard course, you can go ahead and look at the prompts. So please use this if you're able. I know people get busy, so you may not be able to. But if you can, please go ahead and start planning ahead whenever you get the chance on these assignments. Again, just to stress myself one more time, all of these assignments should have sources and works cited pages unless I tell you otherwise, which I really can't foresee any reason why I will tell you otherwise, so plan to have those in there, essentially. Now, I do want to spend a little bit more time talking about your final essay. For this final essay, what you're going to do is you're going to pick the 3 most significant individuals, communities, events, or anything like that we've discussed throughout the semester and make an argument about that has a clear central claim about their significance upon the history of world civilizations. Now, that sounds pretty straightforward, but there's a couple of things I want to mention. One, by central claim, I mean that you need to make an argument about how your 3 topics have collectively made an impact in world civilization's history. So not just how each one has individually made an impact, how have they all made an impact together? In order to make that a little bit easier, what people usually do is they come up with some sort of similar theme for all three of their topics. So, for example, a lot of people focus on military history, some focus on political history, like different governments. Some people, I've had a couple of people this semester in my other classes already talk about how they're going to talk about different treaties and legislation that was passed. Some people like to focus on different cultural or literary productions. Really, anything that particularly interests you about history is fair game. They just have to have something in common. Second, one thing that I usually have to stress, because a lot of times people forget, is that I want these three topics to cover as much of the course that we're going to discuss as possible. Now, obviously, I realize that it's impossible to cover everything we discuss in class in just 3 topics, but I want you to cover as much as possible. Just to give you an example of what I don't want, for instance, in a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about the very first empires in world history. Don't have your 3 topics be the Assyrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, and the Persian Empire. We're going to talk about those empires all roughly within 1 week. So that is obviously much too close together in time and in the content of our course for this final essay. Spread it out a bit more than that. The word count for this will be about 3,000 words. Also, you are going to have an essay option. This is where you can complete the final project in a non-essay format. In the past, I've had people write a play, I've had people make videos, they've made films, documentaries, make monuments. I had someone make an art gallery tour, for example. Really anything that you want to do that's a little bit more creative, you are more than welcome to do so. However, if you want to do an essay, you must have it approved by me on an individual basis by October the 30th. Otherwise, you have to do the regular essay. If you have any questions about that or any ideas to run by me, please let me know as soon as you can. So, we'll go through the rest of these assignments fairly quickly. You have content quizzes, 6 that'll be posted throughout the semester. You'll have 7 short answer questions. You'll answer 5 of them in 3 to 5 sentences. You'll have 3 mini essay questions. You'll answer 2 of them in 2 paragraphs each. That's about 5 sentences each. Answering more. Now, one thing I want to be clear about, because I know it's going to happen anyway, so I just want to let as many of you know ahead of time. Answering more than the required number of questions will not improve your grade. I'm not going to waste your time or my time by trying to cherry pick the best answers when I grade. I'm only going to grade the first ones you answer. So I just want you to be aware of that. Please take the time to pick the ones you feel most prepared to answer. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. Great movie reference, by the way. Debates, like I said, these will be scheduled by email. There will be 2 teams, of course. I'll let you mostly work freely amongst yourselves as long as they go well. And I will be able to set up small groups for you to work in on Microsoft Teams. So again, you'll have all the time you need to prepare during class. You don't have to prepare beforehand. Also, there will be an alternate assignment for those who can't participate in the live debate. And when it gets closer to time, since I don't get to see you guys in person very much, I will post instructional videos on Blackboard that give more information on how these debates are going to go. If you have any questions about any of that, please also let me know as soon as possible. Now, last major thing we'll look at today is the posting schedule for this semester. All lectures, assignments, and readings will be posted for each week on the preceding Sunday. This week, of course, is an exception, as you might guess, since this class doesn't open up until Wednesday. Therefore, all this stuff will be posted by Tuesday. So, for example, everything for week 2, which starts on September the 21st, will be posted by September the 20th, the first preceding Sunday. Unless stated otherwise, all the assignments and readings and everything I post for every week will be due by Friday at 5 p.m. So essentially, I'll post everything for you to view by Monday morning. You'll have the whole week to finish it and get it done. Again, this weekly tab is going to have all the lectures, readings, and weekly assignments, content quizzes, and discussion forums for the entire semester. Also, to make things a little bit easier for you guys, I will post a work schedule every week as well that shows you what order I recommend you complete every assignment in. Now, that's essentially all I have for you guys on this course intro. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the course. Since we aren't meeting very often face-to-face, I want to be as accessible to you guys as I possibly can. So please feel free to join my office hours or at any time, or shoot me an email if you have any major questions. If there's nothing else, the last thing I would like to show you how to do is the syllabus contract assignment, which, as I mentioned, is the first thing you have to complete for this class. So, when you go to the Getting Started section, where my syllabus is, like I showed you, you should be able to pull it up right here. Again, I apologize for my internet. It's not the best. I'll just sit here and awkwardly stroke my beard like a James Bond villain. I don't even know why it has to download it. It's already on my computer. Technology's not fun, is it? Thank you. Took long enough. I do apologize for the wait. I didn't realize my internet would be this slow at the moment, but it's just something we're all going to have to deal with for the foreseeable future, I suppose, unfortunately. COVID isn't exactly a great environment for education, it turns out. Ah, there it goes, I think. Hopefully this shouldn't happen every week. We're not exactly starting class off on the most lightning fast route, are we? Okay, it's possible the Microsoft Word isn't going to work for me at the moment. I do apologize for that. Ah, here we go. It actually did pull up. So again, let this serve as another reminder, by the way, that I am willing to be flexible with technology issues. Again, if I have technology issues, I can't really judge you for yours. Just don't use that as an excuse too often, because I will get skeptical after a couple of incidents. So you'll just pull up the syllabus right here. It'll have everything I described, my course information, specific outcomes and policies, the grading scale, the grading schedule, the course schedule, all that fun stuff. When you scroll to the end, you will see this right here. You will sign this, just essentially telling me that you've read through the syllabus, understand all the policies and regulations, you know about our academic misconduct policy, and you understand it's your responsibility to raise questions about the contract or the syllabus. All you have to do is sign that and date it, turn it in at the, if my internet will work, I think it is this time, hopefully. Yeah, the syllabus contract section right here. So again, that's the first assignment you have for this class. So that essentially covers everything I had for today. Please let me know if you have any further questions, and I will see you all more in detail next week. Thank you.